back to my video series called Project 250 and my journey to the 2025 Chicago Marathon. In the last episode, we broke down the first couple weeks of the training block, and we talked a little bit about what the overall goal was for Chicago. This week, we're going to jump into the second block of the training, and we'll also talk a little bit about the shoes that I'm wearing and also announce a half marathon that I signed up for in an effort to kind of get a feel for where I'm at about halfway through the training block. If you notice, the title of episode 2 was called Bring the Heat. And not only from the standpoint of how spicy this training block is getting, but in Houston, Texas right now, we are seeing some pretty significant temperatures. Makes marathon training extremely difficult, already more difficult than what it is already. So we've seen temps, as high as 80, 83 degrees in the mornings, and they come up to above 100 degrees throughout the day. And then we've seen on some days, occasionally, if we get a little rain shower, we might be in the mid 70s in the morning. The challenge from a training standpoint is do you want to fight the humidity in the morning, which some people do a little bit better where the temps are lower but the humidity's high, or do you want to wait until the afternoon where the humidity has dropped some to maybe 40 or 50%, but your temps are above 90. So it's kind of like you got to pick your poison. Unfortunately for me, with doing two efforts, I get to deal with both scenarios, which should ultimately lead to more fitness. They do say that these high humidity, high temps are like the poor man's altitude training. So looking to see kind of how that plays into fitness levels. But some of these workouts are just a bear and it really takes it out of you. So I've been really focused on nutrition and also hydration. We'll touch a little bit on nutrition and hydration in episode 3 as we move closer to Chicago 2025. As we move into the second training block for the Chicago Marathon, we've increased mileage and we've made a few changes to the efforts that I'm doing each week. So some of the key changes that we've got is instead of doing one effort a day, I've now kind of transitioned into doing 2 efforts a day, Monday through Thursdays, with Friday and Saturdays efforts in the morning, and Sunday double efforts as well. So the way that the training looks is for Mondays is going to be easy runs, kind of recovery. Tuesdays we still kept the double tempos into the training, except this time we've left it at the same time just to try and get more reps at the 25-minute tempos. So we're doing double tempos on Tuesday. Wednesday, I've got 2 easy runs, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. On Thursdays, I'm doing an easy run in the morning with the Hyrox workout, and then Thursday afternoons following that up with another easy run. Fridays, just one easy run in the morning, and then rest and recovery in the afternoon to get prepped for the long run on Saturday. Long run on Saturday, and then on Sundays, I'm doing a short, easy recovery run in the morning with track work in the afternoon. And that's kind of how we broke out the weekly training block for block number 2.
Let's go, Liz! Let's go, Jonathan! Go! Let's go, Jonathan! Let's go!
Let's dive into the weekly training. So in week 1, I had on Mondays a 1 mile warm up with a runner's reset or strength effort in the morning, and a 1 mile cool down. In the afternoon, I ended up doing 5 miles easy. Tuesday, I had the double tempo day where I ended up having a 1 mile warm up with a 25-minute tempo session at 6 minutes to 6:05 pace, and 1 mile cool down. So I did that workout once in the morning and repeated that same workout in the afternoon. Overall, the workouts went well. I hit all my paces. And then as we moved into Wednesday, I had 3 miles easy in the morning, 3 miles easy in the afternoon. On Thursday, I had 4 miles easy in the morning, complemented with a High Rocks specific workout. And then later that afternoon, a 4 mile easy run. On Friday, which is going to be just a single effort day, 7 miles easy in the morning with just rest and recovery in the afternoon. Although we did end up having to go to Pearland for a family reunion, so I stayed up late and wasn't able to get a good sleep that night and prepared for the long run on Saturday morning. On the long run, we started incorporating some fast finishes in this training block. So the long run for this Saturday was a 16-mile long run with the last 2 miles at half marathon pace. And that was a bit of a struggle, mainly because I got outside a little bit later than normal, and I was finishing up around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. Was able to hold the pace till about 1.5 miles, and then ended up having to stop and just kind of let my heart rate come down. But ultimately ended up finishing the miles, just kind of struggled hitting the paces. And then as we move into Sunday, didn't have a workout that morning, but I did go to track session that afternoon, and we ended up doing 10 400-meter efforts, and that rounded out the week 1 training of block 2. Week 2, we ended up increasing miles by about 5. Week 1, I ended up around 62 miles. Week 2, I ended up with 67.46 miles on the week. And that week was a 1 mile warm up with the runner's reset and a 1 mile cool down, and 5 miles easy in the afternoon. On Tuesday, I had the same 25-minute tempo run, 6 to 6:05 pace, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Again, just getting more familiarized with that workout. Ended up hitting the paces, and so getting better with doing those particular tempo runs. As we move into Wednesday, I had 4 miles easy in the morning and 3 miles easy in the afternoon. Thursday, 5 miles easy in the morning with a High Rocks workout and 4 miles easy in the afternoon. And then we had 8 miles easy Friday morning and nothing in the afternoon on Friday, just to kind of get prepared for the Sunday long run or Saturday long run. Saturday was 16 miles with 3 miles at race pace, so we added an additional mile at half marathon pace, and ended up running the full 3 miles, which was an improvement on the first week of this training block, although my last mile did get a tad bit slower than what the target pace was. And then on Sunday, I ended up doing an AM easy effort, and then in the afternoon, 10 400-meter intervals with a couple minutes rest in between. And that rounded out week 2, totaling 67.46 miles on week. Week 3, peak week of this second training block for Chicago. Ended up Monday doing 1 mile warm up with the runner's reset and a 1 mile cool down in the morning. In the afternoon, I had 6 miles easy. On Tuesday was double tempo day. Again, the same workout, 1 mile warm up, 25-minute tempo at 6 to 6:05, and a 1 mile cool down. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Again, ended up hitting the paces and feeling really confident with that particular workout. As we move into Wednesday, 5 miles easy in the morning and 3 miles easy in the afternoon. On Thursday, I had 4 miles easy with a high rocks workout, and then in the afternoon, 6 miles easy. On Friday, 8 miles easy, just to kind of prepare for the long run. On Saturday, I had rest and recovery Friday afternoon. And then on Saturday's long run, I had tried something new, the sodium bicarbonate product by Morton, and it just totally trashed my stomach. I ended up doing the workout, actually ended up hitting the paces on the race pace piece. So this workout was 16-mile long run with 4 miles at half marathon pace towards the end, and ended up hitting all the paces for the 4 miles and didn't have to stop for that particular workout. Then on Sunday, I had a couple miles easy, I think 3 miles easy on Sunday morning, and finished it off Sunday afternoon with a track workout with the same thing we've been doing the last couple of weeks, with 10 400-meter intervals with about a minute and a half to 2 minutes rest. Overall, the week was great. Ended up finishing out at a little over 73 miles, which puts me about where I've peaked out in all my other marathons. As we move forward, we'll be entering into unknown territory as it relates to mileage. So pretty excited about that, but also a little bit nervous as we move into block number 3. Week 4 was recovery week. It was essentially a repeat of what I did in week 1. Ended up with about 64 miles on the week, so about 9 to 10 miles less than what I did for peak week during this block. I'm not going to break out each particular workout on the week, but I do want to highlight one specific workout within the 25-minute tempo run I did on Tuesday afternoon. I ended up setting a new 5K personal best in this training workout, which surprised me. Now, granted, I haven't ran or raced a whole bunch of 5Ks, but this shows that the fitness is really starting to improve from the standpoint of being able to really push and run and exceed the paces that were set out in the workout. So just to break down that workout, it was 1 mile warm up, and then right after the warm up, I went into my drills and stretches, and then started the 25-minute session. And the mile splits were 6:01 on the first, or 6:02 on the first mile, a 5:58 on the second mile, a 5:56 on the third mile, a 5:48 on the fourth mile, and then that last section, which was about a minute and 20 seconds of running, I was averaging 5:42. So as I was working through that particular tempo run, I was getting faster, which is what we want to see at this point in time. And I'm more than excited about that effort, and excited to see kind of how I grow as we move into more challenging efforts and continue to build volume as we move into block number 3. So let's talk a little bit about shoes. When I first started running, I was running in nothing but Nikes. Started out with the Invincible 3s and trained in those as my trainers. So you can see here, these were the shoes that I used in my first marathon. Ended up putting about 500 miles on these. You can tell that there's a lot of wear and tear from the standpoint of inside the shoe. There's some wear, and then down on the sole you've got rubber here that's kind of starting to wear off. So about 500 miles on these shoes, training for my first marathon. And then my race shoes that I used were the Nike Vaporflies. These shoes have been really good. Really like them from a racing standpoint. Raced my first marathon in these, where I ran the 2:58.10 in Big Cottonwood. But overall, these shoes were pretty good. When I started working with James, I started looking at other shoes that I could try out, and we'll dive a little bit into some of the shoes that I'm using today. Shortly after starting with Coach James Wyatt, I ended up watching some of his videos on his shoe reviews on his Running with James YouTube channel. He ended up recommending on one of his reviews the Rebel V4 by New Balance. So I ended up buying this shoe and using this as my trainer, and I've really fallen in love with these from the standpoint of how durable they are and how comfortable and the number of miles that you can really put on these. The foam is really nice. It's not too soft. It's not too hard. But one of the big things I really like is the rubber on the bottom is very durable. I think these I've put about 500 miles on. I do know that when I ordered my first ones, which were these black ones here, I found that they run a little bit tight. So I typically wear size 11 and end up having to go up about half a size. So I ended up putting about 500 miles on these. And then as I started training for Berlin and New York, ended up buying another pair, but I went up a half a size. So these are 11 and a halves. These particular shoes I put 700 miles on, and you can see the rubber on the bottom is still intact. There's still a pretty good amount of rubber left on there. There is some wear and tear on the heel, on the upper. But other than that, this shoe has been very durable and has really worked for me as a trainer, to the point to where I've now ordered my third pair of these. They just recently came out with the Rebel V5, so they've discounted these. I think you can get a pair of these for $110, which is really good price for a trainer. And overall, the shoe has been great for me. I've been using it for about a year and a half now, and really like it as a daily trainer shoe where you're going to put most of your miles on. And so it's been very important to find something that's comfortable, that you don't have any issues with from the standpoint of wearing these every day for your runs or twice a day for your runs in my case. So really like the Rebel V4s. As we move into talking about shoes that I'm using for my speed work, really started to look at some options as it relates to a shoe with a carbon plate. So I found the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3s. Started wearing these probably about a year ago, and really fell in love with this shoe from the amount of support it gives. Also, the foam is a little bit thicker than, not quite as soft as you would see in some race shoes. But I like that from the standpoint of the speed work, because most of the time these efforts are going to be somewhere about middle of the way as far as miles go, but a lot quicker. So I felt like turnover was better with these, and ended up ordering these Endorphin Pro 3s. Put about 250 miles on these. The tread is pretty much worn off on the bottom. Like these shoes so much that I tried to find some new ones. However, Saucony had rolled out the Endorphin Pro 4s, and so that's what I'm using now. Again, similar shoe. I would say that the tread on the bottom is a little bit more durable, because I've put almost about the same amount of miles on these, and you can easily see that the tread on the bottom of these is still pretty intact. But overall, very good speed work shoe. I'll be continuing to use the Saucony Endorphin Pro line for my speed work, and I'm doing anything from 400 meter repeats to the 25-minute tempo runs in these. I ended up ordering a pair of purple ones as well, and so I kind of rotate these just so I'm not putting a ton of mileage on one pair. But overall, Saucony Endorphin Pro line, currently using the Endorphin Pro 4s. I really like those for my speed work. I'll continue to use these as we move forward with the Chicago training block. So let's talk about race day shoe. I've only used Nikes up to this point as it relates to racing, road races. I have, however, used Saucony during the Hyrox season, mainly due to the level of grip that they have on the bottom of the shoe. And then a couple weeks ago, Jess and James had mentioned that the Adidas shoe was one of their favorite race day shoes. So I ordered me a pair of the Adidas Adios Pro 4s and took them for a spin on one of my tempo runs and absolutely fell in love with this shoe. Plan on using it for Chicago as my race day shoe. It's just very light and the foam is very soft and comfortable. Instead of the carbon plate, it's got the carbon rods, so it allows for more flexibility in the shoe or in your toe. Just overall, I've really been impressed with this shoe. I feel fast. I've used this pretty much on all my PN Tempo efforts. So I'm sprinkling it in to my training. I'll probably use this pair for the remainder of the training and order me a new pair for Chicago. Hopefully they'll come out with some different colorways that will be interesting. But overall, this has just been a really fast shoe, and I'm excited to run my next marathon in them, that being the Chicago 2025. One of the other things I wanted to talk about real quick is socks. When I first started running, I wanted to find a good pair of socks and ended up trying a few different brands from Bomba to Swiftwick and Features. I ended up really liking the Features. I use these Feature socks basically anytime I go out for a run. I think I own probably 20 some odd pair of different colors and whatnot, but overall a good durable sock, one that fits your foot well, that feels snug, that isn't going to hold a whole lot of moisture. These are pretty good about getting rid of moisture as best as they can. And then they've got the arch support, so there's a right and a left one, and it just overall helps support the foot. They also claim that this helps prevent plantar fasciitis. And so overall, Features is what I've been using for the last 3 years, and just love this sock. I think a lot of people overlook how important a good sock is when they start venturing into running. If you remember from episode 1, I talked a little bit about finding a 10K or half marathon race before Chicago in October. Well, I ended up finding a half marathon that's going to be in Akron, Ohio on August 9th, 2025. It's going to be the Goodyear Half Marathon. Looking forward to that race. James has had me running paces to try and chase a specific time for that race. The weather, we'll see how that kind of shapes out. Typically the average is around 65 degrees at start time, so that'll be good to hopefully get some cooler temps and see what I can do on August 9th. We'll kind of see how that plays out, and that'll be kind of a calibration race to see where I'm at as far as fitness goes, and what else is going to need to be done in order to hit that 2 hour and 50 minute time goal in Chicago in October. I think overall this is a good plan. We've got about 6 weeks until that half marathon, and excited to get up there and kind of test the fitness. So I'll end up releasing a video on that particular race and kind of talk a little bit about how that went once we get past this next training block and get through that race in August.